She is the new beautiful teacher Mary. It's no exaggeration to say this is the dream girl of all the boys in the school. But few people dare to seduce Mary. But that doesn't include Jack, the hero. He tried to invite Mary to the concert today, and he was scolded by Mary. By the end of the school day, Mary's attitude towards Jack suddenly changed. The female teacher took the gum out of Jack's mouth and stuffed it in her own mouth. She took the initiative to unbutton and tease. It turned out that Mary had noticed Jack for a long time. She dragged Jack directly to the small dark room for special one-on-one tutoring. And so, Jack and Mary's love affair began. They dated every day, and they didn't care about the occasion. After Mary was done, Jack got all his grades by cheating. Until this day, when the two were accidentally caught having sex in the auditorium. Mary fled the scene in a huff, and Jack was praised by all the students and teachers. Maybe because he did what everyone wanted to do but was afraid to do. However, Mary was accused of molesting male students, even though Jack repeatedly said that he did it of his own free will. Mary, who was pregnant, was sentenced to 30 years in prison. The child in her womb was sentenced to Jack, but he was still a child himself. So until the child became an adult, Jack's father was responsible for raising him. And so, at the age of 15, Jack became a sensation. The media hailed him as one of the most powerful gay men in the world. Advertisements, endorsements, movies and TV shows followed. Time went by. Jack has reached middle age. Now he has long lost his former glory. All the money he earned has been squandered. Now he couldn't even pay the rent and owed $50,000 in taxes. He was desperate. A friend pointed Jack in the right direction. A fat guy was running a marathon. His odds are 8000:1. Jack could try to bet on him. If he wins, he'll be rich. So Jack bets $20 on the fat guy. Of course, he didn't think about asking his son Jamie to help him. But he had just turned 18, and Jack had left the father-son relationship. To this day, they've never seen each other again. Jamie's changed his name now. He's a winner. He has a successful career and a beautiful fiancée, Juliet. One day Jack approached his former manager. He asked him to find a way to help him make money. The agent was also annoyed. Finally, he was forced to come up with an idea. He asked Jack to find Jamie to visit Mary in prison with him, so that he could take advantage of the hype. At least a few tens of thousands of dollars can be made. Jack was a little embarrassed, but in order to save himself from jail time, he had no choice but to agree. That day Jamie was having a dinner with his fiancée at his boss's house. In the middle of the meal, Jack came in uninvited. When he saw Jack, Jamie spit out a mouthful of water. Jamie didn't want to admit that he was Jack's son, because he was a foul-mouthed man who had never taken on the responsibility of a father. But Jamie didn't want to make a fool of himself in front of all these people. So he lied and said that Jack was an old friend of his. Jack saw Jamie's dilemma. He took the initiative and started making up stories to fool everyone. The others even invited Jack to stay over tonight. There was no choice. Jamie had to agree. Afterwards, Jack told him Mary was sick in prison and she wanted them to visit. But Jamie didn't believe him. The two had a big fight in the house. Although he didn't like the father, but the others had a crush on Jack. He'll stay here until the wedding, and then Jack would be taken along to the party. After all these years, his art of language is still there. He could say anything. It's amazing how much people like Jack. They complimented him on how funny he was. Jamie was speechless. With the crowd's excitement, he had to play all kinds of games with Jack. Jack is really good at creating atmosphere. The party never gets cold when he's around. Everyone loved him. That night, Jack found out that Jamie and his fiancée Juliet were not very close. They would argue over the smallest things. So he went up to his son and gave him some advice. He passed on his best skills. After all these days together, Jamie changed his mind about Jack. In fact, he did not hate his father very much, just gambling. The next day, Jamie and Juliet went to the church for the engagement ceremony. In the middle of the ceremony, when the priest asked about their parents, Jamie said with a calm face that my father had been killed by an explosion. But the priest's sore point was hit. The old priest wanted to fight with Jamie without saying a word. None of Juliet's family and friends came forward to help. Finally, it was Jack who came to the rescue. He a bottle of wine to the priest knocked down. That's what saved Jamie. Afterwards, Juliet's family blamed Jamie like crazy. They put all the blame on his head. Jack could not stand it anymore. He came forward again to make up the story. After hearing this story, the people began to feel sorry for Jamie, and they said they could find a new priest. Jack also helped to give advice on the wedding. This time Jamie finally felt that it was good to have a father. As a rule, before the wedding, they would have a bachelor party. How could Jack not be a part of such a big event? he never expected. The so-called bachelor party is just a group of men going to the spa for a foot bath. It was so boring that it couldn't be more boring. Jack couldn't stand it. What kind of bachelor party is this? He took everyone directly to his favorite bar to watch the strip show. They drank like crazy. At first the group was shy, but after they drank, everyone's emotions became high. It was a world Jamie had never been exposed to before. He soon got high. Those who seemed so serious before were now revealing their true nature. The group was drunk as hell. After sending the friends and family away, Jack began to develop a relationship with Jamie. He wanted to do his duty as a father for once. Jack gave Jamie the feather earrings that Mary had left him. He said he wanted to pass it on to the next generation as a family heirloom. Jack also took Jamie to see his old friends to start a new round of partying. Under Jack's guidance, Jamie did all the things he had never done before. He even learned how to ride a bike. Jamie's anger was completely relieved. He and Jack got back together. They hugged each other, and Jamie was willing to visit Mary. But now Jack didn't want to use his son anymore. He said Mary just wanted to improve the food by visiting her family. Jamie didn't say anything when he heard that. He went back to the house and fell back to sleep. When Jack woke up the next morning to learn that Jamie was on his way to jail. He was worried that his life would be ruined if he was caught on camera. Jack hung up the phone and went after him. Mary still looks great after 20 years. After seeing her again, Jack's fears were instantly swept away. He wanted to make love to Mary through the glass again, although Jamie was still sitting next to him. But Jack and Mary didn't care. They were talking about their sweet love. In the end, Jamie could not listen to it anymore. He grabbed the phone and was ready to ask about Mary's health. Just then a microphone came down from the sky. The TV people had been waiting here for a long time. Now Jamie was stunned. The agent soon came out and explained how it happened. Jack was at a loss for words. Don't know how to explain. The friendship he had built up with Jamie had just collapsed. Jamie was furious. He disowned Jack once again. He wouldn't listen to any explanations and refused to air the show. Now Jack won't get a dime. He's facing 3 years in prison. The last thing Jack wants to lose is Jamie. But there was no point in talking about it now. He could only go back to pack his bags and prepare to move out. Unexpectedly, he overheard Juliet on the phone with someone else. It turns out that she had already cheated on him. Jack couldn't let his son's marriage be ruined. So at the party that night, he came out and pointed out that Juliet was cheating on him. To his surprise, she didn't panic and explained that she was just preparing a secret surprise for Jamie. That's why she said she didn't want him to find out. This is the joke of the century for Jack. Jamie's whole life was hopeless. Can only look speechless to see Jack leave. Afterwards, Jack was ready to go and impress Juliet, so that she can say something good about herself in front of Jamie. A man walked in on Juliet having sex with her brother. Jack is dumbfounded. He thought it was weird enough that he was dating his teacher. He didn't think someone would even let his own relatives get away with it. Juliet panicked when things were broken. She wanted Jack to keep it a secret, because even if he told her, Jamie wouldn't believe him. After all, the phone call today, Jamie chose to believe Juliet. But this time Jack learned to be smart. He took pictures of Juliet and her brother. This time is full of evidence. Juliet had no choice but to produce a huge check as hush money. She told Jack to disappear from now on and not to ruin her life. Faced with so much money, inevitably, he was moved. The next day Jamie and Juliet were married on time. He stood alone on the beach and thought about it. And Jack called the taxman. He said he had already got the money. He was going to take the money in good conscience and pay off his debt. But then Jack suddenly sees the gift Jamie left for him and he changes his mind in an instant. Jack couldn't let Jamie get married, because Juliet is not going to change. Thinking of this, he rushed to find his best friend. The two of them soon drove to the wedding site. At that moment, Jamie was about to say his vows to Juliet. Jack suddenly rushed out with his best friend. Juliet immediately panicked at first glance. Before she could stop him, Jack told all about her adultery with others and said he had the evidence. This time Juliet could not argue. The friends and family were shocked. Jamie also finally understood Jack's pain. He finally confessed to the father-son relationship and all the humiliating things he had done in the past. Jack tore up the check. Juliet tried to stab Jamie with a knife in anger, but was knocked out by a bottle of wine. Her brother wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to attack Jack. Jamie saw the situation and went up a bottle of wine. In the end, the father and son left the wedding together. Jamie and Jack went to the bar. The news of the wedding had just been spread. He was praised for his heroic deeds. Everyone wanted to help him find another girl, and Jack decided to pay for his mistake. He honestly went to jail. Just then the TV started showing the news. Remember the fat guy who was about to run a marathon? He miraculously won the marathon. Jack got $160,000 in prize money, and so he paid off his debt. And now, just wait for Mary's family reunion after her release from prison. This is the end of the movie. Thank you for watching.